Listen carefully. There are some things money cannot buy. There are some things education cannot teach. And there are dimensions of favor that you cannot fake. When a woman is honest, deeply rooted in truth, not convenience, not public image, not comfort, but truth, she becomes dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, because truth is not a personality trait, it's a spiritual position. And the woman who chooses it, even at the cost of comfort, becomes a vessel of God's favor on the earth. You cannot manufacture the anointing of favor. You cannot rehearse honesty. Heaven doesn't respond to performance. It responds to posture. And the posture of an honest woman is what draws divine backing. She doesn't chase favor. Favor chases her. Because where there is truth, God is present. And where God is present, nothing is impossible. The honest woman walks differently. She walks like someone who doesn't owe the world an apology for existing. She doesn't try to fit in because she's already aligned. Her spirit's anchored. Her heart is not rented out to public opinion. That's why she doesn't break easily. That's why storms don't shake her. Not because she's numb, but because she is detached from outcomes and attached to obedience. And when you are no longer emotionally owned by people, you become spiritually owned by purpose. The world may call it indifference, but God calls it spiritual maturity. You can tell when a woman is truly favored because she's not desperate. She doesn't have to manipulate conversations to protect herself. She doesn't use silence to control or words to impress. She simply shows up as truth. And truth, my friends, is magnetic to heaven. That woman who chooses integrity over image, God will open doors for her that charisma never could. She doesn't need to lie to get there. She doesn't need to flatter to remain there. She doesn't need to compromise to be liked there, because favor that follows honesty is sustainable. It doesn't burn out. It increases. You want to see the favor of God? Watch how he clears rooms for a woman who speaks truth without malice. Watch how he removes people who only serve the lie. Watch how he builds platforms for those who didn't use manipulation to climb. This woman is emotionally free. And emotional freedom is one of the clearest signs that heaven has smiled on you, when you no longer need people to agree with your truth to live by it. That is power. When you can lose everything and still feel whole, that is favor. When you can walk away from what feels good to protect what is good, that is evidence that God is with you. The honest woman doesn't just talk about God. She hosts him. Because God is truth, and where truth lives, God abides. That's why her discernment is sharp. That's why her timing is divine. That's why even in dry seasons, she bears fruit. You see, honesty gives you authority, not in title, but in influence. People may not agree with her, but they cannot deny her. And that's the kind of favor that silences critics. Because when your life is built on truth, no accusation can collapse you. They can lie about her, but the fruit will testify. They can leave her, but God will raise others. They can strip her of opportunity, but heaven will open new gates. She's not addicted to being liked. She's addicted to being right with God. And when that becomes your pursuit, everything changes. Her integrity attracts divine alignment, because God will never anoint what he cannot trust. Honesty is not just a moral decision. It is a spiritual covenant. When a woman chooses to walk in truth, she enters a realm where heaven begins to partner with her decisions. Integrity is not perfection. It is consistency in righteousness. It is the decision to honor truth, even when lying could make life easier. And God sees a woman who refuses to bend the truth for convenience, he begins to build a path before her feet. She may not see it immediately, but the groundwork of divine favor is already being laid behind the scenes. Integrity is magnetic in the spiritual realm. It draws the resources of heaven to the life of the one who holds fast to it. While others are promoting themselves with exaggeration, she allows God to promote her through truth. Her name carries weight, not because it's on a platform, but because it's written in heaven's agenda. When she speaks, there's authority, not because she's loud, but because her voice echoes the heart of God. People may overlook her, but God never does. Her refusal to compromise is what qualifies her for uncommon doors to open. God aligns his favor with character, not charisma. Favor flows where truth flows. And when a woman is honest, she gives God something to build on, solid ground. He cannot build on lies. He cannot send blessings to a foundation that is unstable, but when he sees that her life is rooted in integrity, he releases alignment. People show up at the right time. Opportunities meet her without striving. Protection surrounds her without her demanding it. All because her integrity silently called heaven into agreement with her destiny. She carries peace that cannot be shaken because her honesty has removed the weight of pretending. A woman who walks in truth walks light. She does not carry the burden of lies, the fear of exposure, or the anxiety of double living. Her peace is not circumstantial, it is internal. It flows from knowing that what she says aligns with what she believes, and what she does reflects who she truly is. That level of alignment invites divine tranquility. Her spirit is not in conflict, because her words and her walk are not at war. There is a stillness that rests on an honest woman that the world cannot explain. It's not because her life is easy, but because her heart is clean. The storms may come, the winds may blow, but there is an anchor in her that holds. That anchor is peace, and that peace is a reward for truthfulness. When you live without deception, you live without fear. You are no longer haunted by what someone might find out or what you might have to cover up. That peace becomes her fortress. God is not the author of confusion. And where there is honesty, confusion loses its power. An honest woman doesn't have to guess who she is. She doesn't have to remember what she said last week. Her yes is yes, and her no is no. That simplicity creates stability, and stability creates peace. Her relationships may not be perfect, but they are real. Her surroundings may be unpredictable, but her soul is calm. Her honesty has invited the Prince of Peace to dwell within her. And where he resides, peace reigns. While others rely on distractions to numb their unrest, she relies on truth to guard her mind. Her sleep is sweet, her conscience is clear. Her atmosphere is guarded, not by control, but by the presence of truth. She refuses to manipulate outcomes because she understands that control is the enemy of trust. The honest woman does not scheme, twist, or bend circumstances to suit her desires. She surrenders the need to manage appearances and instead allows God to author the results. This refusal to manipulate is not weakness. It is strength under submission. It is a sign that her confidence is not in what she can make happen, but in what God has already written concerning her. Manipulation is the language of fear. It reveals a heart that doubts God's timing and provision. But the honest woman has settled it in her soul. What belongs to her will find her, and what leaves her was never part of the plan. That mindset frees her from striving, competing, and over-explaining. She doesn't need to plot her next move because she trusts the one who orders her steps. Her honesty releases the outcome into God's hand. In a world addicted to control, she stands out as one who flows with divine timing. She waits without bitterness and serves without expectation of return. She speaks truth even when it may cost her position or popularity. And she walks away when necessary, not because she gave up, but because she won the war against self-reliance. Her heart is too clean to manipulate, and her hands are too pure to grab what God did not assign. When she refuses to control outcomes, she invites supernatural interventions. What others strive for comes to her naturally. What others chase, she attracts, not through tactics, but through trust. Her honesty becomes a magnet for divine orchestration. And in moments when others panic, she rests because she knows that if she didn't manufacture it, she won't have to maintain it. Her character speaks louder than her words because she has chosen to live truth rather than merely talk about it. There is a power in quiet consistency that outshines loud declarations. The honest woman does not have to convince others of her worth. Her life already testifies. Her reputation is not crafted with words, but shaped by the fruit of her actions. Over time, people recognize that she is the same in public as she is in private, and that consistency becomes her credibility. She is not concerned with crafting an image. She is committed to building integrity. While others are performing righteousness for applause, she is walking in truth for alignment. Her words may be few, but her presence carries weight. People listen when she speaks because her silence has already spoken. She doesn't have to defend her name because her character does the defending. God himself steps in to be her vindicator, not because she demanded justice, but because she chose to live it. When she enters a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because she announces herself, but because her life has been marked by purity. Those around her sense the difference, even if they cannot explain it. Her honesty becomes a mirror that challenges compromise in others. Her choices convict without condemnation. Her discipline inspires without boasting. This woman doesn't chase validation through affirmation. She knows that reputation built on truth will outlast every false perception. And so she moves with quiet strength, not needing to declare her value. Her life is the declaration. In seasons of accusation or misunderstanding, she doesn't panic. She knows truth doesn't need help to rise. It rises on its own. Over time, her life becomes the sermon, and her consistency becomes the proof. She is unafraid of loss because her identity is not attached to people or things. The honest woman has learned the sacred discipline of detachment, not from love, but from dependency. She understands that relationships, roles, and recognition are assignments, not definitions. She does not cling to what can be taken away because her security is anchored in what cannot be shaken. Her worth is not tied to her title, her possessions, or her connection. It's rooted in who she is before God. This kind of detachment is not emotional coldness. It is spiritual clarity. She is fully present, fully loving, fully giving, but never enslaved. When God says it's time to walk away, she does so without bitterness. When people misunderstand her, she does not chase their approval. When a season ends, she does not grieve as one who has lost everything because she knows the giver is greater than the gift. Her strength is not in her ability to hold on, but in her wisdom to let go. This freedom from attachment gives her unusual courage. She can tell the truth without fear of losing people. She can stand alone if necessary because her value is not determined by how many stand with her. She's not owned by affirmation, and she's not weakened by rejection. This emotional and spiritual detachment allows her to walk in obedience when it costs her the most. It positions her to hear God clearly because her ears are not filled with the noise of people-pleasing or self-preservation. She has died to needing constant reassurance, so she lives resurrected in purpose. Her soul is not for sale. Her peace is not up for negotiation. She can be trusted with greatness because she will not idolize it. She can be trusted with loss because she will not crumble under it. God exposes lies to protect her truth because he is a defender of righteousness. The honest woman doesn't fight for validation. Heaven does it for her. She doesn't chase down rumors or try to correct every false narrative. She understands that her truth is not fragile. It is held in the hands of the one who sees everything. When lies are spoken against her, they may stand for a moment, but they cannot last. In time, God reveals what is hidden, not to embarrass others, but to preserve the integrity of the one who chose truth over compromise. This is why the honest woman can walk with quiet confidence, even when she is misunderstood. She doesn't need to argue her case because she knows that divine justice is not delayed, it is strategic. God allows certain things to come into the light, not to destroy, but to purify. And when she stands in the light of truth, he surrounds her with protection that no human force can dismantle. There is divine timing in the way God uncovers deception. Sometimes he waits not because he is inactive, but because he is building a platform for truth to shine brighter. The honest woman's life becomes a testimony, not just to people, but to principalities, that truth still reigns. She may endure seasons of silence where it seems lies are louder. But even then, God is working behind the scenes. Eventually, the false stories collapse under the weight of truth. The people who judged her come to see her strength. The ones who believed lies begin to question their source. And through it all, she remains unmoved, not because she is invincible, but because her honesty made her unshakable. Her alignment with truth activates heaven's intervention at the appointed time. Her discernment is heightened because her spirit is uncluttered by deceit. When a woman walks in honesty, she sees with clarity. Her heart is not fogged by manipulation, and her thoughts are not tangled in deception. This purity gives her access to divine insight. God trusts her with revelation because she has proven that she will not use truth for personal advantage. She discerns not to control, but to protect. Ability to see beyond words and actions comes from the stillness of a soul that has nothing to hide. Discernment is not suspicion, it is spiritual sensitivity. The honest woman doesn't assume the worst, she simply sees what others miss. She picks up on hidden motives, subtle shifts, and unspoken tensions because her own life is in alignment. When your spirit is clean, your perception becomes sharp. When your intentions are pure, your eyes are open. The dishonest heart will always misread others because it projects its own darkness. But the honest woman doesn't project, she perceives. Discernment becomes a compass. It guides her away from danger. Even when the opportunity looks good, it alerts her to betrayal before the mask falls off. It warns her when a situation is out of order, even if everyone else approves. She has learned to trust that still voice within because it has been trained by truth. The more she walks in honesty, the clearer that voice becomes. And because she doesn't lie to herself, she doesn't fall for the lies of others. She recognizes false flattery, hidden agendas, and emotional traps. Not because she's cynical, but because she's anchored. Her discernment is a divine reward for her honesty. It guards her path, shields her heart, and protects her peace. It is not noise, it is knowing. And that knowing keeps her a step ahead. Always. She is favored in unlikely places because God does not measure worth the way people do. The honest woman may not have the connections, the applause, or the platform, but she carries something that cannot be denied: truth. And when you walk in truth, you walk in alignment with heaven's agenda. God will elevate her in rooms where no one expected her. He will open doors that qualifications alone cannot explain, because her honesty has made her a vessel of trust, and where there is trust, there is favor. Unlikely places are God's favorite stages. He places the honest woman in environments where she stands out, not by volume, but by virtue. She may be underestimated, but she is never overlooked by God. People may dismiss her quietly, but God will endorse her loudly. While others strive to be seen, she is discovered by grace. The places that once rejected her become the very grounds where her purpose flourishes. And those who try to bury her truth, watch it resurrect with power. Favor on her life is not logical, it's prophetic. It's not earned by manipulation, but given through divine recognition. God does not send favor where there is falsehood. He sends it where there is faithfulness. That's why the honest woman thrives in places others fail, because she didn't lie to get there. She doesn't have to maintain an image to keep it. Her presence is not a performance. It's a reflection of truth lived out daily. She doesn't chase spotlight moments. She carries light wherever she goes. And that light draws opportunity, divine appointments, and unlikely blessings. In hidden places, she is discovered. In dry places, she is watered. In unfamiliar places, she is favored, because her truth makes room for her, and her integrity keeps the door open long after talent fades. She confronts with love, not silence or manipulation, because she understands that truth must be delivered with grace. The honest woman does not avoid difficult conversations, nor does she weaponize them. She speaks when it is time to speak, but her words are not driven by ego. They are carried by wisdom. Her goal is not to win an argument, but to preserve righteousness. She doesn't use silence as punishment, and she doesn't twist words to control an outcome. Instead, she brings clarity where confusion once ruled. Her honesty is not harsh, it is healing. People feel safe in her presence, not because she tells them what they want to hear, but because they know what she says can be trusted. She doesn't flatter to gain favor, and she doesn't avoid confrontation to keep peace. She understands that false peace is bondage, so she addresses issues directly, yet with compassion. She doesn't accuse, she reveals. And when she speaks, there is no residue of bitterness, only the weight of truth seasoned with love. This ability to confront with love is a sign of maturity. It means she has nothing to prove and nothing to hide. Her identity is not threatened by disagreement. She can listen without defensiveness and respond without aggression. Her honesty has refined her, not just in speech, but in spirit. She carries both sword and salve. She can cut through lies while healing brokenness at the same time. This makes her powerful in relationships, in leadership, in community. People may not always like what she says, but they come to respect her for it. Over time, even her quietest truths become loud testimonies. And the atmosphere around her becomes one where growth is possible. Because love and truth are not divided, they are delivered together. She attracts provision because truth invites divine stewardship. The honest woman lives under an open heaven, not because she is loud in her asking, but because she is pure in her living. God provides for those he can trust, and trust is established through integrity. When a woman walks in truth, she becomes a steward of divine resources, not just for herself, but for the people and purpose connected to her life. Provision follows her not as a reward for performance, but as a response to alignment. She does not manipulate to get what she needs. She obeys, and God responds. Provision flows where there is order, and order is a byproduct of truth. The dishonest heart is chaotic, always hustling, always scheming, always adjusting the narrative to fit the situation. But the honest woman does not live in that storm. She is settled. And in that settlement, God releases provision without pressure. She doesn't have to beg. She doesn't have to chase. What she needs finds her in the rhythm of obedience. Whether it is wisdom, resources, opportunities, or people, what is required shows up at the right time. Not because she controls the outcome, but because she is positioned in truth. God funds his truth tellers. He sustains those who refuse to compromise. And he supplies those who protect their integrity more than their image. People may not understand how she always seems covered, how her needs are met, how doors open, but it is because they cannot see the invisible economy of heaven that is connected to honesty. She is not lucky, she is trusted. And when heaven trusts you, lack becomes a stranger. Her life becomes evidence that provision is not just about hard work, it's about hard posture. And her posture, rooted in truth, continually draws divine supply. A woman who walks in honesty is not ordinary. She is dangerous to darkness and irresistible to divine favor. Her truth becomes her weapon, her covering, her promotion, and her peace. She does not chase what she carries. She does not beg for what she attracts. Because when you are rooted in integrity, heaven partners with your journey. God himself rises to defend, provide, elevate, and align everything around the woman whose heart refuses to lie, manipulate, or pretend. So let the world doubt her. Let people misunderstand her. Let temporary voices try to define her. But the evidence of her life will speak louder than their opinions. Favor is not always loud. It is consistent. And over time, the honest woman will find herself standing in places she never campaigned for, receiving blessings she never negotiated for, and carrying peace no one can steal. Not because she was perfect, but because she was pure. Not because she had influence, but because she had integrity. If you want lasting favor, lasting peace, lasting impact, choose truth. Even when it's lonely, even when it's lonely, even when it's not popular. Because when all is said and done, the woman who walks in truth walks with God. And when God is with you, no lie can hold you, no enemy can stop you, and no door can remain closed. Favor does not follow the clever, it follows the honest.